Hello, hello. I am excited, stoked. My heart is open and ready to receive because today's guest kicking us off in 2026 is Elizabeth Cornetta. She is a mind body connection specialist. She's a Hay House affiliate. She's a yoga instructor, a retreat leader. She's in general a spiritual guide and has so much wisdom and love, and she's just incredible. So I hope that you enjoy sitting down with her as much as I do today. Let's go.
As much as I could, and I will explain a little bit about myself and some of my her story is close our eyes. So together we'll close our eyes just briefly. I like to uncross my feet just as an intention of sort of opening up the body's language, and take a deep breath in through your nose. Open up the mouth, let it out. So from this place with our eyes closed, continuing to breathe in and out, allowing this time to get us into the present moment. We gathered together for the purpose of co-creation, for the purpose of connection and remembering, releasing, recycling, recreating. We say thank you for this time together, that it goes out into the world and brings back only good things for both of us and everyone that gets to see and hear included. Take one more breath in so we can let it out. Sweet. So easy to overlook a little step like that, but a lot of the work that I've come to do now, with all the work that I've come from within myself first always, is these small little tools that we can take throughout our day, just like that. Whether it's before a conversation with a fellow parent or a neighbor or your partner or your kids, or moving through the day or getting in the car, just taking a second to recognize, okay, I'm here. What's my intention for this little segment? I'd like to be safe. I'd like to feel good. I'd like to connect. I'd like other people to feel the same way. Boom. And it's getting that muscle, strengthening that muscle inside of us, realizing like we're powerful, but how do we use it in a practical way? So that would be what I've gained along the years. My name is Elizabeth Cornetta. I think it's important to mention that. I forget, like, oh, my name is Elizabeth Cornetta, if you don't know me. And the work that I do, a lot of it has been established through Louise Hay and the work of Louise Hay, teaching the philosophy that says loving ourselves is the key to healing our lives.
Mm. Well,
However, it's much easier said than done for a lot of us.
and I want to let you go on, but I also, why is it so important to develop that muscle, and how does that relate to the self-love mission, so to speak?
Mm.
So how do these practical tools actually facilitate healing? What are they doing for us in the moment? And I guess the an unpoetic way of asking would be like, why is it worth it?
Well, most of us don't have it, or didn't have it growing up. We had other wonky tools that work for us in a way that makes sense for a period of time. But when we're starting to see uh, um, the lack of self esteem, the lack of clarity in our thoughts, the leaning toward habits that are harmful to ourselves or the people around us, the world around us, when people start recognizing that, this is when some other tools can help. And what I've learned from my relationship with myself is that I didn't necessarily have one when I started this work. I had the relationship that I had was so off-putting and creating uh, outcomes that didn't feel good for me in general, kind of back to back. And I kind of was living like that for a long
Can you give an
time.
example?
Sure, I could give so many examples. Oh,
Just to like de-abstract.
sure, sure. So, living in New York, I was going to college and I hated it. I hated it. It just was not in alignment with where I was. It wasn't in alignment with where I wanted to be. It just wasn't making sense for me. That's really what it was. It wasn't making sense. A lot of other things wasn't making sense in my life. And I sort of slowly stopped going. Like I slowly stopped going. I was working but I slowly sort of like just irresponsibly, I didn't tell anyone, which then made me sort of talk less and less to the people that I wanted their respect. And I cared about how they felt about me. And I pulled back. And thankfully, that felt so uncomfortable to me that I did something about it. Thankfully, that felt so scary because I kind of knew that could lead me down a path of isolation and or lying. I felt so uncomfortable.
I relate to what you're just saying. I know you're like not even through the story yet, but I feel that avoidance, like as human beings, I think we actually love accountability because it connects to the community. And when we are in truth, there's this vibration, a higher energetic exchange between us. So if you're like a sensitive individual and you find yourself retreating, and maybe it's a justified retreat in some way, but we retreat and then suddenly, like in college, I had those feelings of like someone's like, "Oh, I see the potential in you," and then for one reason or another, you start to drop off and you start to avoid, and it
Yep.
does trigger a lot. So anyway, I don't think we're the only ones that have experienced that for
Well,
sure.
but I love that you're saying that because it's like uh, it's freedom. When you're at peace and you don't have a bunch of things that are not I think of it as tabs that are open on a computer or a phone, right? It's like you have a bunch of tabs that are not sort of like completed. You didn't make that call, you didn't take care of that bill, you didn't talk to that person, you didn't respond to that, you didn't drop that, whatever it is. You didn't complete that, you didn't tell the person the truth. It's like it minimizes our battery.
Mm.
It slowly takes our juice. And I find that when we sort of wrap things up or we are free. And when you're feeling freer, because stuff happens, you got to get back to it. And that's to me where breath comes in because breath is free, it's available, it's with you. You can do it anytime, you can grab it, it's there. And that to me has become a big part of my relationship with myself is like, how do I get back in alignment? How do I get back to that freedom or that authenticity, that higher vibration in a super practical way, just breathing in and out. I mean, as silly as it sounds, and I love positive affirmation because I've been able to weave together, just like you in your larger mission. It's layered, and breath without some supportive inner dialogue, it can lack, and inner dialogue without breath can lack.
Mm.
Positive habits without breath, without positive reinforcement on the inside can lack. So when you put it all together, just like your mission is like, whether we're dealing with young people, whether we're dealing with adults, whether we're dealing with a movement or self-expression or connection with food, it all makes sense. It works together.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you'll let it, if we'll
Yes.
let it.
Yeah. So bring us back. So we're in college. You kind of call yourself out in the way in a way, and then what?
Mm-hmm. Well, interestingly enough, that was all a period of time where I was learning about the powerful laws of attraction. It was like at that point, I had read The Secret. I was sort of studying some spiritual teachers. I had always been on a spiritual journey up until that point as a teenager. And then now I'm in my early 20s. I was always sort of seeking something without realizing it, seeking something with realizing it, coming in and out of that. And as I look back, so grateful that I came to the point where I was like, I need to rebuild my life. I need to rebuild my life. Like I was like going off. I was going, I could see it. And even maybe other people looking in, maybe like, no, you weren't. But I felt this like blaring. We're going, okay. So that's what I did. I left the apartment I was living in New York City, and I went essentially home for a period of time and rebuilt my life. I really did. I mean, there's so many other details, but that was when immediately just I wanted to make sure I had this book on the
Mm.
my desk. She always did, but my mom handed me this Louise Hay book right around that time, and I something like you're saying, a higher vibration. I felt something, I knew something, I was open and receptive, and I read it and I studied it. And I was also learning yoga at the same time. I was first time in my life, Paula, I was going with the wave, not against it.
Mm.
I was like, I guess I'll just go with the wave. For so long I've been going against, let's see. And it led me here. And so that would be a very simple understanding of that period of time. It led me into this next chapter of self discovery, self acceptance, self approval, and positive change.
Mm. Now, your mom gave you,
She did.
she was the first, your gateway to
She
Louise
was.
Hay. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was your mom someone who you think she would self-describe as like on a seeking path
Yes.
herself? So she, um, so did you grow up with spirituality as a component of the home? What was your relationship with her like, where she could give you a book in a period of hardship? You've come home, she gives you this, and you're like, you obviously didn't dismiss it. You felt something. So was there a rapport between you two in this space? I
At
love
that point.
mother-daughter. I love mother-daughter connection. So I'm curious.
Absolutely. Yes. At that point.
Hmm.
At that point, we both of us in our dynamic and our connection, and I feel as individuals, we were both at a place where it made sense for me to be open and receptive. But before that, probably not.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that I grew up with spirituality or religion from either parent, but it was a part of my life and a sort of outskirts. My grandparents, I think, gave it to me a lot more from their perspective. My grandmother was a lot more willing to deepen her understanding of what that meant, which I'm glad that we were able to do that before she made her transition. But yeah, so I got the book, and it was sort of, my mother had read the You Can Heal Your Life book from Louise Hay, I think in the 80s when it was very popular. It really came out in the 80s. Louise Hay was famous for getting involved in the AIDS and HIV crises in New York and in San Francisco. She had something called the Hay House Hayride, when that was a community that no one would sit with. And so she was with them. She spent time with this community and helping them learn how to heal, learn how to forgive before they made their transition. Very powerful work she did at that time. So a lot of people know Louise Hay from that period, and now she's coming back alive. I feel we're headed into a period of time, Paula, where self self love, inner power is now going to be at another forefront. It's like coming back around, like things always do, because coming back around. I really see that, and I even see that as in your work, in such a beautiful way, because I feel people like you and I, those of you that are listening, you understand the idea of planting a seed. You don't plant it and dig it back up to see if it's growing. You plant it, and in fact, we plant 10 seeds hoping one will grow. We don't plant one hoping 10 will grow. And so we plant it, we trust, we get it in a little sunlight, make sure it's in okay dirt, we get a little water, and we trust the process. And that's what I've seen you doing over a period of time with all the wonderful facets of your organization.
I appreciate that.
It's true.
I feel like that. I mean, like you said, things almost like fashion can come in waves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that with so much of our lives being in this, where if we're not careful between the algorithms and artificial intelligence, which I think there are places and spaces for technology and humans to like coexist. I believe that. But it can feel, if we are not grounded in, to use, I guess, a term we've already used, in a remembering, in a strong sense of self as distinct from ego, right? But this sense of that connection to that which is eternal. If we're not grounded, we're going to get very caught up in the feed, right? If we're scrolling, the feed knows what you want in some ways more than what you like. It knows so much. It knows about where we've gone. The data is just amazing, and we've all heard those like anecdotes of, maybe a girl gets a mailer about being pregnant before she knows she's pregnant. Like there's this the stats and numbers around what our eyes are looking at and our screen time. It just makes us very susceptible to seeing either what we want to see or seeing what we don't want to see, because it gets that reaction and that clickability and us staying with those devices.
Sure.
And I think that makes us like this rudderless ship in a way. And this is the reclaiming of the rudder. I can be in rough seas as a competent sailor if I study the skies and have a sense of what is this journey really about. And yes, we can have all the distractions, but what's our guiding principles? So I think that's a big reason why this is all coming back, because the authenticity is going to be the way forward, I think, as far as what is the real human commodity. I hate to use the word, but what is the human value in an increasingly technological world? And it's the true energy of a human being that I think going forward is going to be something that people really value. And if we want to have value in our lives,
The way you said that, because it's like, first, first, what comes up for me with what you just said is, how do we get there?
mm,
Right? As individuals, how do we get there in a practical way, in a day-to-day way, in a moment-to-moment way? How do we do that? And the other part of that is, I like the idea of being able to be in rough seas, because I think when we get into this, like, well, I'm gonna heal and everything's gonna be better, and there's no, in fact, that's not what happens. We have now the ability to move through difficult things and get through them in a different way. I look forward to this connection that you're thinking about. What do you think could be one prong to people feeling more empowered or themselves or authentic?
mm. So I feel, so I'll answer the question a bit roundabout. So like as a parent to like a toddler,
Mm-hmm.
I would feel crazy if I tried to say that my job was to prevent him from ever getting hurt. That is not my job as a parent. I mean, it's my job like to make sure your physical safety at some point is like, right, like, okay, you're 1.5 and make sure you don't tumble down the stairs. But my job is, especially as I get older and older, is not to make sure you're not hurt, but to how do we develop resilience and a sense of self-love, which I think is a lot
Mm.
of that work that you do. Because it took me, I don't think everybody's like this, but it took me having a child myself to feel that unconditional love for another human. I'm like, he doesn't have to become anything. He earns it by existing. It's mere existence. And I went to a workshop, I think it was like the New Year's Eve, January 2022. So my son was 9 months old or so. And I entered this heart opener, and there was a prompt. I forget exactly what it was, but basically I was able to experience the love for my child for myself. And I get chills even thinking about it. And it was just, it is such a profound perspective, because I can have all the ambition and desires or drive to contribute and do all these things, but that is not my relationship to how I should feel about myself. I
Mhm.
deserve the love from within, from an eternal source, from that which binds us all. To me, that connection just allows me to pour grace on so many situations, times when maybe I'd get up on my case. Oh, you're lazy, you're not contributing, you're not doing this. When you have that sense of I'm gonna turn that love, you can get to those things and write the to-do lists. But let's get what's the baseline? So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying I think the work that you're doing is kind of the key to this. Like, how do we get there? How do we develop discernment in a technological world? How do we navigate rough seas? We've got to get good with ourselves for real.
Mhm. Well, and it's hard. I mean, I think one of the biggest biggest parts of the work that I do, I'm never tell anyone that it's like an easy road. If, especially if you're sort of starting out. I think a lot of people that are attracted to individuals like you and I, like we're attracted to other individuals like us, is that we've already done a certain amount of self development work,
Mm.
self reflection, and things like that. And having this, because I wrote down these little words: resilience, self love, unconditional love, love through existence, right? Learning redirection and navigating through rough seas. And what I've come to really feel clear about is that we don't need large groups of people with this clarity. We need individuals throughout the planet, more now than ever before, to be in that fullness, be in that power more often than ever before, because we're not going to live with that in totality every second of every day for the rest of our lives. We go sort of in and up and we come back to it. We go in and then we come back to it. But that's the goal, is to come back to it. Is like, that's what you're saying. You're wanting to sort of establish within your child and children in general, is it's like an inner life vest that you bob back to the surface. You keep bobbing back to the surface. And I think the work that Louise Hay has shared with me over many years is that you can heal your life. I can't heal your life.
Mm.
You can heal your life today, and then you can heal your life 6 months from now, 8 years from now, 25 years from now, 30 years from now. You can heal it. That's the power that we want individuals to have, because when we have one individual radiating through the world, through their homes, through their communities, through their jobs, as they drive places, as they do their laundry and whatever, we want to pick up on that more and more, because I think that's the World Wide Web.
Yeah, right.
That's the internet, is that getting back into the real, because so what you were saying in terms of the algorithm and like social media and telephones and movies and music and all the things that can infiltrate us, is first of all, we're giving it permission without realizing it. Setting that intention, just like we did before, is like closing our eyes, taking a deep breath. I mean, can you imagine doing that before you picked up your phone? That my intention is to only be viewing and receiving positive, influential. Like, but I know that recreating this awareness in people that we are the World Wide Web, we are the internet. Nature is, we're one with that, is super important.
Mm.
It's super important.
You give me
And
this image of like, instead of internet of things, it's the internet of like human energy, um, which is we are all connected. And I don't need 5G to or 6G, in the future to be the thing that's connecting me through a device, through these things. We are connected, um, regardless. But I want to back up a bit and have a bit of context about Louise Hay.
sure.
And from my understanding, the sort of heal your life is not just sort of nice metaphor. It's actually pretty literal
Yeah.
from
It's
my
like right to the point.
like so if you can give us a bit of a window of like who is Louise Hay, and in
Sure.
broad strokes, what are the implications of her philosophy?
So because I knew you and I were going to get together, I was actually, I have so many books. I love
Yeah,
books, but
love it.
this is a newer cover to one of the books she's had for many years, and it's actually a workshop that I did at the Beach Rose studio last year. You can heal your body, and love yourself, love your body. And what it says underneath is positive affirmation, a positive affirmation guide for loving and appreciating your body. So Louise Hay is one of the multitude of teachers around the world that teach this philosophy. She just happens to be unique in certain ways, just like a Bruce Lipton or Wayne Dyer or any of the other larger, more well-known teachers. And then we have the people in our community that know this, right? Whether it's an herbalist or so many people. And so teachers of all kinds, but she has, through her work, through her own difficulties in life, had come to a place where she knew she needed some transformation and change, and she channeled it. She came into that awareness through connecting with other people that could help her on that journey. And once she worked with people for many years, she was in her 40s when she started Hay House. She didn't really get into a larger career until she was, you know, anyway. So the work is understanding the mind body connection. Sorry, the mind and the body are connected. There's no way to disconnect it. It is connected. We can pinch ourselves off. And when we pinch ourselves off between the power, and we don't know how to utilize the power between mind and body, we can create disease. Your thoughts go into the body. And this goes from utero. Like, this is generational. This isn't just like it happens when you're 15, when you go through. No, this is a human science, right? So the work that I do, I would consider it being a spiritual guide, but a metaphysical practitioner. So it's where science and spirituality go together. That's what Louise Hay teaches. She is a metaphysical author. Science and spirituality come together. Understanding the connection between our thoughts and our physical body. Now, how do we get there? We kind of go through looking at our past, our childhood, some of the messages our parents gave us or didn't give us, or if we didn't have our parents in our life, how did they affect us on a biological level, so on and so forth. And so that's the work that she teaches in a very simple to understand, doesn't mean it's simple to do it, but it's simple to understand guide. That is Louise Hay.
Hmm. And
And
do
you
you know
can heal your life.
where is she from roughly? Do we know?
I want to say New York City, but I might be wrong. She ended up in the West Coast and in
Hmm.
San Francisco. So I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to say that
I'm doing
as a
a
fact.
I'll do a quick almost like
Sure, yeah.
mini fact check on ourselves
Yeah.
here just for fun. Um oh, yep, so Los Angeles actually.
Los Angeles. Okay.
Yep. Or that's at least where she was born.
Yep.
Oh, interesting background is at least says Wikipedia. We'll throw a couple grains of salt. Um, to says apparently remarried with violent stepfather, physically abused her and her mother, and some other issues with neighbors. So it looks like she had some trauma.
Oh, yes.
So and I only well, as my eyes sort of saw that. Oh, and then okay, so New York. Here's the New York connection. She had moved to Chicago, worked low-paying jobs, and then 1950 she moved to New York. At which time she changed her name and got into fashion. Wow. So some interesting. Wow. And then diagnosed with an incurable cervical cancer. Wow. And wow, she came to, and I'm only saying this because I think it's relevant to where some of this might be going, but how she came to the conclusion that by holding on to her resentment for the trauma she faced had contributed to the cancer. So, it's funny that my brain decided to keep reading because you're talking about that metaphysical connection between mind and body. So it sounds like from her personal experience, she was obviously seeking healing in a very literal way. And that connection between what she experienced early in life almost seems like there was a manifestation later. Um, and I'm obviously not a doctor and not claiming to know how the universe works. But this is all interesting back. I think we obviously can all relate to
Sure.
unpleasant things have happened to us over time, and that we also experience pain, physical pain. And can we explore or understand how those things may be related? And if we
They're like,
can,
yeah. Well, now more than ever, right? I've been saying this for many years, and it sounds so boastful, but it can sound boastful to some people, but I am the future of medicine.
hmm,
This work is the future of medicine. It's really the ancient, it's the ancient knowing. I do believe that we did have that as one with us. I do believe, and I think along the way there's many reasons why it's something we're rediscovering, but it's the future. It's the future is self-empowerment. And anyway, of course we need other people and we need medicine. We're not saying that at all. But so yes, she's had a lot of life experience. She did, and
yeah.
she then healed that. So that's the other part of that. So she healed this incurable through many different ways. It wasn't just healing emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It was changing how she was eating. It was rolfing. She did a lot of other things. And she's very happy to explain that to the world. But I think a lot of us can find or can call forth some answers for different things. And for me, one of the most important things with the book that I found, because there's a guide in the book, understanding bones, right? The mind body connection to bones, the mind body connection to
Oh,
our
wow.
liver, to our skin, to our brain, to our breast, to our bladder, to our feet, to our right side body, left side body, our spine. Every single thing you can think is here. But I had really bad acne for a period of time. And I'm sure other people may not have seen it like that, but I saw it and I tried everything. I tried everything. So one of the biggest parts when I read this book was, how can I look up this? How can I get some help with the acne? And I had headaches and acne at that time. And
Mm.
so I remember that was it helped me. That was it. It was like, I was like, let's try this as an experiment to see if this works. Kind of like, let's see if this works. I've tried so many other things as I was sort of educating myself and studying this book and her other literature she'd written. And understanding that acne is skin, but acne also is about certain belief systems. And so once we understand the root cause, she calls it, so it's the emotional connection that happens that then manifested in the body, whether it's inflammation or a cavity or a broken bone or an accident or gray hair. She goes through the whole thing. Bad breath,
Mm.
um, and headaches, right? Headaches, self-criticism over time. Sometimes it's like I've been criticizing myself in the morning, then in the afternoon I get a headache. Or sometimes it's someone had been criticizing us and then it comes to, so this is what I specialize in, is the mind body connection and understanding that. Thankfully, I get it. I got it really early. Learning it in my own life and making sure I'm doing it is something I'm always working on, but like it makes sense to me. And so that's my biggest message, is helping people understand that you can heal your body, you can heal your relationships, you can heal your heart, you can heal your life, you can heal the world around you, you can heal your past, you can heal your future. And so I get really passionate, clearly, as I start talking about this stuff, because I believe in it wholeheartedly. And I've watched hundreds and thousands of clients of mine, whether it's through workshops or classes or one-on-one or retreats, get just a little seed and be like, here I go. I'm off. And I've watched it. I've watched it. I've watched couples. I've watched families. I've watched children, teens, people in the process of transitioning, people in the process of giving birth, people in the process of moving through big life changes and fear and traumas and emergencies. And then people with just sort of day-to-day challenge, right? And it works. If you give people the tools and they want to use it and they start to use it in their lives, it works.
Hmm. So
So
like for example, for yoga, like we can call it like the 8 limb path or
mhm.
so there's like these different entryways. And this is just very reductionist, I guess, of me to sort of say, but the idea of the yoga, most Westerners are like, oh, there are poses and there's downward dog in this, right? These are called the asanas, and they're just one aspect on the journey towards, which is yoga with union with, is basically with the divine, with our creator, where essentially self dissolves and we are in complete synchronicity with union. We're with spirit essentially. So that's, for lack of a better, I'm trying to avoid yogi terms because I just want to stay accessible. But there's so many, the path can be good works. Some people get onto the yogi path through community service, perhaps, or maybe some people fall right into meditation, which would be considered a
Yeah.
little further along. Like for me, I got into it like the nerd path first. I started reading books, and those books sort of became more about the asanas, and then over time kind of accountability and service to others start getting more. So there's no, I mean, I guess you could do each step in some sort of sequence, but I don't think that that's particularly organic. I think we find ourselves to wholeness through, depending on our personality, any one of these sort of like olive branches out. So I'm hoping you might be able to draw some kind of parallel to the work, to healing, to love yourself, to heal, heal your life. Is there a methodology where it's particularly like, hey, these, is it more rigid than what I just sort of laid out? Are there, you can start to add a splash of cream to your coffee, so to speak, metaphorically, to get you on your way. So what are some of these maybe techniques, or what's the approach? So if someone is like intellectually got it, mind, body, got to connect them. So how do we do this through the work that you're doing?
Well, I love that you're mentioning yoga because I think it's such an easy thing sometimes for me to forget to mention or to leave out, because it was a big part of this in my path, right? It's not for everyone, right? And I think that that's a big important thing to remember. Like none of this is for everyone. Like or some of this is for like it's like everyone gets to certain places through different paths, through different, like if there's a 1 through 5 steps, some people get there through 3 first and then they get to 5, and then hopefully we can kind of, once we've gone through the steps of whatever it might be, whether it's building a table or a home or education, we can kind of recognize like, oh, I guess there is a reason that that's step 1. I guess that doesn't mean I started like that. So I was learning yoga at the same time I was understanding the mind body connection at the same exact time. And I don't know if everyone gets that, but I got it. It was like power packed, right? And I was able to rewire my brain at that point in a very significant way because I was learning breathing, stretching, balancing movements through the yoga. And I was looking at myself in the mirror because the yoga I was practicing had a mirror, which is mirror work was a big part of Louise Hay's work and a lot of other spiritual teachers. Mirror work is literally looking at yourself in your own 2 eyes. Then there's a whole branch of yoga that says no mirrors, absolutely unacceptable. So I will say what happens when we start talking about yoga and meditation, it can be off-putting for some people. I don't want to do yoga. I would never do yoga. Standing and breathing is yoga. Laying down and breathing is yoga, right? So all of us as humans are already doing it. Yoga is was created as a reflection of the human existence, but also medicinal. It was meant to be medicinal for people. It was meant to heal the hip, heal the knee, heal the shoulder, heal the headache, heal the spine, heal the injury, prevent. And I find in my yoga practicing and my yoga teaching, I see a lot of people come into yoga without realizing why they're there. But I do believe that through breathing and moving your body, this is how we can sort of open up channels. And this is where the path comes in, right? Any path that you can utilize. I think getting with a teacher, getting with a mentor, getting with some support. You know, a lot of people don't really talk to their yoga teacher enough. Like, I'm like, go talk to your yoga teacher. Talk to them before the class. Talk to them after the class. Ask for the email. Can I ask you a question? Right? I think people want to go in. Oftentimes, the majority of people want to go in. They want to get their workout in. And I'm like, if you want to work out, I think there's another person to guide you there. For me as a teacher, I've come to that in my career where I only call forth people that want, very similar to you and your fantastic yoga teaching, which you know that I love your class. I love your class and your style of teaching and just what makes sense for you to share with people. And you're essentially like intuition, you know, you're intuitively guiding people at times. I really do believe in that. But yeah, so that's a very long, drawn out of, yeah, yoga can be great, but so can rock climbing. Yoga can be great, but so can mindful walking. Yoga can be great, but so can swimming. Yoga can be great, but so can all these other things, right? So there isn't one way into it. I do believe we all deserve to move our bodies and move our bodies in a way that helps digestion, that helps, you know, essentially the ecosystem of the body get to moving and shuffle some stuff around, kick up the dust, get it out of the body, help that process. My intake, assimilation, and elimination are all in perfect balance. We want that.
I love this. Okay. So I want to take a brief pause because I want to pee.
Sure.
But
Go for it.
when we come back, or when I come back, maybe you'll be down to play a little game, which is I want to almost pretend like because I want to give people like an example of what your work can be like.
Sure.
So almost like a brief, like I'm going to be vulnerable with some of what I feel like maybe I've been going through, or
Sure.
maybe some ailments or things that have been on the mind. And I just want to hear your response or some of because I've come to you before where I'm like, I've been getting like cut up in the kitchen. I remember I was talking about my hands like a year ago with you, I think, where I was like,
Yeah.
I'm burning myself a lot. I'm like cutting myself. Like, what gives? Or to me, that was what felt really prevalent. So I want to kind of do an example of that with you
Beautiful.
after I
I'm
pee.
up for it.
All right, cool.
It's when I think of our connection, I think of all the things that kind of worked to get us to meet. And I love that I met your mom before I met you.
Oh yeah.
In this really cool way. And you know, I do believe when life wants the powerful laws of attraction, when life wants us to gather together with anyone, it's can move anything to make it happen. And I really do think like, and I love that we're talking about my mom, and now I'm just going to mention your lovely mother, is that you know, that's how we met, right? She and I just sort of met in this really cool organic way, and it was before the project had started, or right around the larger project had started, and I didn't know you yet. And then when I actually came in and to get excited about what you were creating in the community, and I just love that that's how it happened. And look how far it's brought us. It's so cool to think about stuff like, for me, I really like that, that there is like roots to stuff. And yeah, she's another like-minded person in so many ways. And I'm sure you have some interesting stories about your relationship with her. So, but maybe that's for another podcast. So, all right. So give me an example, because I think all of us deal with something, that have dealt with something, or are currently dealing with something, or are wanting to prevent dealing with something. I think that's a big thing that I've learned is like, I prefer wellness, mind and body. I know what it's like to feel unwell mentally. I know what it's like to feel unwell physically. I know what it's like to watch other people go through extreme unwellness in both avenues. And I've realized I prefer wellness. But how do I get there? It takes effort. It's just like building a bank account. It takes effort. It takes dedication. So your time is now, because remember, we did sort of set a sacred space for even just for the podcast session, but like, share with us some that you're comfortable sharing with, that I'm sure other people can relate to and get some quality answers.
I'm specifically taking a breath.
Take your time.
So I think today I want to share, I want to talk about food. Because I'm someone who has a lot of, I think, willpower. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot of drive and actually a lot of discipline. It's not a way I would have described myself maybe in undergrad, but as you know, I've landed in well into 30s now. I feel like I'm not insecure about my feelings about like, oh, do I work hard enough? I feel like I work hard, but it still surprises me, is that I do feel like my relationship with food is it reminds me of when I used to be a cigarette smoker.
Mm-hmm.
I have these reliances, and there are these aspects of certain kinds of binging, and then there are times where I meal prep and I'm eating salmon and cottage cheese, and I know all the things I'm supposed to do. And then whether there's specific triggers or lifestyle components or whatever it may be, you fall off the rails. And it's not just about like, oh, overeating or whatever, but I can just feel this internal, almost inflammatory response. And I've been told like, okay, maybe you have psoriasis, or maybe there's gluten intolerance or whatever, but all that feels to me to be the most true statement I can say about it is there's some real relationship between my relationship with food and like systemic stress that feels, it is obviously so much about nutrition, but as someone who can get themselves to the gym to lift 4 days a week, who can show up to work, like I can be disciplined, and I've quit cigarettes before. I don't drink. I've kicked a lot of,
Sure.
I'm like, I've shed a lot. So what gives in this realm? And I think, a lot of people, especially in January leading into February, if you had maybe some aspect of like, I'm gonna fast all the time and like be a new year, new me energy, usually by February when this comes out, like, end of first week of February, a lot of that has been like, okay, I guess we're not doing that. That was good for 2 weeks. So I feel in this regard, like with food, like I can't trust myself. And that's unlike my relationship with other parts of my life.
Mm,
And it's not like I'm crazy overweight or anything like that, but even if I feel like I'm not at my best, and it feels like it is almost like infecting so many other parts of my life. Like it's keeping my vibration down, that
mm,
I either can't be consistent or figure out what is this relationship about.
sure. Well, I think I know that I could look in this guidebook and give us some understanding of some specifics. But what I will share, because this is now for all of us, because I know every human being can relate to this, because we need it to survive. We need food to survive. And that relationship with food is another thing that goes all the way back through our past, right? It goes back through our teenage and our early and our development, and then in utero, and then mom's stuff. And then her influences, and then the influences of the people around, right? So it's like a buildup. It's one thing that's never been gone out of your life, right? You can't
Mm.
quit food. You can't quit food. And I think the biggest part is for all of us as individuals to establish an understanding, like I'm saying, I prefer wellness. Doesn't mean I don't eat chips and ice cream and your delicious bagels and pastries, right? Okay. But I prefer wellness, which means I'm aware of my intake of anything. I'm aware of the shampoos and the products that I use, and I'm aware of like my intake of things, my excessive intake. I'm aware of it for the purpose of caring about myself. And I think that's what I want to kind of get to the core of here is that you can congratulate yourself that you care about yourself. Mm. And that's, you're aware of it. So when there's an awareness of like, wow, I ate too much of that and I didn't really plan on it, but now here I am, and now I feel like this, and then this affecting that. You care about yourself. That is something to just congratulate. I care about myself. It feels good to care about myself, even if I'm dealing with feeling physically uncomfortable, mentally uncomfortable. The whole part of it is that I care about how I feel. I care about how my body feels. I care about how my lungs are functioning. I care about my future self. So that's important to know, because that's like inner child work too, is like, sometimes we want to give ourselves permission to be like, enjoy that without guilt. And even so, I tell people anything, but especially when it comes to food and stuff, it's like, we get gas in the car before we need it. You know, we get gas in the car. So I want maybe for you and any of our listeners, including myself, is we look at some of these things when our gas tank isn't empty. So prepare for those moments of like, when we are wanting something sweet or salty or different or more than, right? So prepare when you're not there beforehand. So prepare here so that when you get to that point, you've already done a little bit of work on it where you're like, okay, self, periodically when I am stressed or when I feel isolated or when I've been hard on myself for a while or when I just need to kick up my feet and eat that or enjoy that I give myself permission from here to do that in a way that makes sense. But a lot of us didn't get these like safe boundaries around our relationship with food early on, or we got too much of it. We got, or nobody really talked about food or what it does to the body or what it can do because of our emotions and what it can do to our arteries and like whatever it is, right? So it's a deeper message. I am going to look up, just because it's relevant, because we have the book right here and we're talking about Louise Hay, and for any listeners, but if anyone had any curiosity of, a sty, it goes from a stroke to a sty to neck problems. It's a fantastic opportunity to look and go, gosh, all right, my
And
nose.
I will put
my
links. I will put links in like the
Great.
YouTube description box for
Excellent.
these books. So if people want to follow up with, check
Perfect.
them out. I think that would be.
Yeah. So, but like perfect, as a lot of us have runny nose in the winter, right? And so runny nose, stuffy nose, nosebleeds. So runny nose. So what it shows us is the cause, right? The runny nose, and then it gives us why the nose is running, and then it gives us an affirmation. So what I consider it is like writing a prescription or giving someone a treatment to help them mentally go through whatever their body has already established. So runny nose is, get ready, everyone, inner crying and asking for help.
Whoa.
I know. And so the affirmation for that is, I love and comfort myself in ways that are pleasing to me. So I've sort of added some addendums to her affirmations or simplified them in different ways just because of my quality of work over the years and experience. But when we start to realize, wow, when my nose is runny, am I crying and asking for help? And we have to ask ourselves that, like, because sometimes you go, no,
that
I'm
sounds,
not.
I was like about to say,
sick.
because
I went outside without a coat. I work with someone that's sick. That's how I got sick. I'm run down. I haven't slept in a week. And right. And we can justify it. But then we go, but am I kind of like feeling a little, you know what I mean? And so that's the self-reflection. And I want to hear what you have to say. I'm just going to look at weight gain, because all of us deal with it at different times. Weight loss, weight gain. As I look through it. Tell me
as
what you
you,
were.
yeah, so I want, because you mentioned, and I want to stay a little bit with the practical. I mean, I want to
Sure.
hear, but to tee us up for after you find it. So like, for example, recently, we started bringing in some we make our own bagels and we make a lot of our own stuff, but we
Yep.
partnered with Navad bakers for the cafe downstairs, and so
Yay.
it's very exciting, like Middle Eastern Jewish style, like babka and
Love it.
bostocks and burekas, and they're just like amazing delights. But so we get the deliver, or I go pick up the stuff Thursdays or Fridays, and usually it's been Fridays, and by the end of Friday I have usually taught yoga at 6 a.m. And
Yep.
then I've maybe taught a lesson or two during the day. I maybe have prepped for 4 something hours. And then I've gone to East Providence and back to do this pickup. I come back and I usually still have a bit more prep to do. Sometimes I'm not getting home until 8 p.m. And the next
Mhm.
morning I've got to be up at 2:30 a.m. to open the shop for the next day. So these moments of weakness, I'm like almost every week since I started getting Navad Baker stuff, by Friday night, I'm eating a babka or two. Like I am. And it's like these decent sized slices. And some of that's like, there are these moments of weakness where it also feels like a reward. And I know for me, I think growing up, there was quite a bit of like, good soccer practice, let's get ice cream, or like
Yep.
you finished a hard week at school, so here's pizza. So the relationship with like, I think for me at least personally, I can see a relationship between why I can have discipline in my life, but then in this it's like, well, that's the reward for the discipline, right? I'm wired to reward myself with food, and what else can itch
Mm,
that itch that's not, drugs, alcohol. I'm not doing those.
sure.
So what's gonna give me that same reward or something back?
And
This
I can
feeling of
answer
like,
that question.
yes, okay.
I can answer that question because that's so ding, like you got right to it. Because I wrote down weakness and reward, right? And I
Mm,
think so again, come back to that get gas before the car needs it, right? And so from this powerful present moment, because this is where the power is the present moment, not in the past and not in the future, right? So from right here, right now, you're going to start to add a couple positive, supportive words in addition to the other ones that you already have in your life here. So not when you're actually dealing with the thing, but beforehand, of like, good job, slow down, good girl, I'm so proud of you. I want you to use those more often here so that you have, so essentially we're filling up your bank account with some of that reward. So we're not looking to fill the bank account with the babka or the black and white cookie. You know what I mean? So and then in those moments when you want it, you go, "It's okay, sweetheart. I love you so much. I want you to start to say those sweet words, like give you that, like, I'm sure your husband speaks to you with sweet little names, but I want you to come up with a little name for yourself where it's like whatever it might be. Everyone has, like, Louise came up with this and she taught me this, but she'd call herself Lulu. So when she'd have a little conversation, "Ooh, Lulu, look at that. Oh, your hair today," and oh, whatever it is. And I like the idea of saying that, "Ooh, good job tying your shoe. Good job making sure you had gas as you drove to Providence to pick up this delivery." So if you give yourself more reward along the way, there's that connection that starts to fill up your tank so that there's like less opportunity to be like, I'm going to use this thing to fill up my tank.
mm,
That's our relationship with ourselves. Even in marriages and any kind of partnership, we want to have that self, like, well that gets filled up with ourselves, opposed to hoping our partner will fill it up for us. So I feel like that would be the first thing I would tell you to use more rewarding, supportive encouragement when you're not at that moment. So beforehand, good job. Good job for brushing your teeth. Good job for following through on that commitment. Good job on putting the clothes in the dryer, whatever it is, right?
see, so
Everyone
I'm
has
gonna, I want to interject because my brain, I'm like, I'm resonating. I'm like, yes, yes, that is so nice. But then there's this little voice, and I'm just trying to like be alive. I'm just like
please, because
a
we can
live
share as much of
subject.
this or as little as this as we want. You know what I mean?
But the live, like there's this thing that I'm like, okay, I'm tracking you. But then I'm also like, good job for doing the shit I'm supposed to do. Like, good job for going to work today. Like, there's a sarcastic part of me
Sure.
that is kind of like, why am I being, it's almost like it feels like it doesn't deserve it because that's the expectation. And I know
Sure.
this can link sometimes to different philosophies of parenting. Like, it's very like fashionable right now to like not really tell your kids like good job after they make a
Mm,
painting because then they're gonna want to do things for the affirmation that it gives versus just doing it for its own sake. And I can see that in almost like a stoicism type of way or even with yoga of like we do these things regardless of outcome. Like I show up to work or I open the cafe not because I want people to buy stuff in my till to get full, but because it feels good to do it and things flow from that. So what do you say to like that snippy part of me that's like, why would I say these things to myself along the way? Shouldn't I just do them?
well, I think when we find like a specific answer, because sometimes when we ask ourselves why or what, we don't really have that answer yet. And actually, right before we got on this call, I was on another call with a client, and we were talking about like when we get into that like hands on our hips, like I don't want it. Oh, I know that part of me so well. And listen, I let her. I'm like, okay, sure, be honorary, cool. Finish the afternoon being honorary. I'm with you. I love you so much. Doesn't matter. So, but what I will say for someone like you specifically, this is specifically for you. Other people could use this, but this is specifically for you because you have a practice. Instead of using words at first, use a physical body language. Same thing with a child. They do something powerful, put your hand on their shoulder
Mm.
or show them to put their, you don't need to use words to have body language and communication. So even for you, like when say you get up, you do your normal schedule, you go, you open up the shop, such a big deal. It really is. First, be grateful that you got there safely.
Mm.
Because if we're not congratulating ourselves because we go like, well, I'm supposed to do this. I'm a human being. I'm a person. I want to. So you go, I'm so glad I got here safely. I'm so glad I moved through this morning safely. That would be like a little offshoot of it, or just like a hand body language, like you got there safely. Because maybe we're not thanking ourselves initially, but you're thanking this fire overseeing whatever version of this for you that you got there safely, right? That you responsibly drove there, that nothing got in your way, that the car functioned, right? So it's maybe just sort of askew,
Mm.
but anything can happen where we're at work, whether we're working at a yarn shop or we're working on a construction site. Anything can happen. So just kind of maybe moving through your day with more of an engagement of the fact that you're safe.
It's like active gratitude, if I'm picking up what you're
Yeah.
throwing down, because that actually to me resonates. I get less hand on the hippie inside
Yeah.
when I think of adding more moments of small gratitude throughout the
Yes.
day. Maybe it feels a little less self-serving,
Mm,
which I feel sometimes like we can almost feel like allergic to. Like, am I just like blowing up my ego for like basic things?
mm.
But to a framing of gratitude that for me resonates as maybe I'll get to the point where I can be like, good girl, Paula, like you did the thing. But being thankful, like you said, for the car working, that I had the
Yes.
energy to arrive today and to do this. You know,
Well, energy,
mm,
the wellness, the mental clarity, the motivation, whatever it is that's driving you. We want to, and continue to come back to that recycling of whatever that is inside of you. Keep that clean.
mm,
Keep that clean. It's like the oil in the car. We want it to be good quality. The oil in your motivation. We want it to, like, you love doing this because you love, there's so many facets of it. Keep that quality clean. So I am going to read this just
okay,
because I
yes,
found it.
perfect.
This is weight gain. So this is true for anyone. Right above it is ovaries, right? Osteoporosis is over that. And so there's so many different
Mm,
avenues, right, of the physical body. It's a map, right? It's a treasure chest. It's a treasure map. Treasure map. Okay, so overweight, right? So anybody, I'm going to read the affirmation, which is essentially like the prescription that you'd use to help yourself move through this. whatever it is, but specifically we're talking about being overweight. I am at peace with my own feelings. I am safe where I am. I create my own security. I love and approve of myself. So that would be essentially like the way to help heal in addition to any other things that we're doing.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. I'm at peace with my own feelings. And I mean, this is great for anything, for anyone, for any cause, for day to day. Like, I don't care what you're dealing with, but to say I'm at peace with my own feelings, oh my gosh, that's so great. I'm at peace with my own feelings. I am safe where I am. I am at peace with my own feelings. I am safe where I am. I create my own security. I am safe where I am. I create my own security. I love and approve of myself. Isn't that beautiful? Like, that could be used for anything. Sometimes not even like digging even deeper to understand where it comes. Just knowing that, like, it's like, oh, I'd
Well,
love to
and
feel
it's
like I
and that's
create my own security, right?
it's pretty profound because I could sit with any one of those
Thank you.
statements
For a
and
year.
for like a year. But I think the last line in particular, especially when if someone is contemplating like weight gain or their relationship with their body and that like through that lens, usually like if I'm feeling self-critical or if I'm thinking about weight that I've gained, it makes me I immediately go into why, like what needs to change.
Yes.
I need to do higher intensity this. I need to make
Yeah.
sure 2 days a week I do like which I think it's productive. And I think some of us do get into some sort of productive way of saying, I want to do something about this. Like, right.
Mm.
It's like problem solving. Or at least for me, I'm like, okay, well, are you going to sit here and wah, or are you going to do something about it? But I love and approve of myself takes you as you are in this moment, which sort of makes me like, okay. There's, that's harder to sit with when you're having a moment of maybe not feeling so good about yourself.
And Louise taught me so that for a lot of us, that would be untrue, right? For a lot of us to say out loud, I love and approve of myself is untrue, right? So it's a lie. We're saying this thing because that's the thing that a lot of people miss with affirmations is oftentimes positive affirmations are not true. Negative affirmations
Mm.
feel more comfortable for us, right? So we go, why do negative do I want that to continue to be true for me? A negative affirmation, right? We have to kind of rewind the tape a little bit and say, do I believe my thoughts create?
Mm.
Right. So, but instead of saying I love and approve of myself, because that is like, I can be a huge jump, a quantum leap, as she would say. So you say, I'm willing to learn to approve of myself. I'm willing to learn to respect myself. I'm willing to, because you can replace the word love with that. I'm willing to learn to like myself more. I'm willing to learn to respect myself more. I'm willing to learn to approve of myself. And I'm in the process of positive change is one of the biggest affirmations Louise gave me. But I'm going to give you the reason, because oftentimes if we go a little deeper into the spiritual aspect of weight gain, that can have a lot to do, especially in childhood, with a more serious reason where a lot of little ones can gain weight to essentially keep people away. And so that's a deeper conversation, a more serious
Oh,
conversation. But
wow.
for now, overweight can be about fear, a need for protection, running away from our feelings, insecurity, self-rejection, seeking fulfillment. And so relative and relevant to everything we're talking about. And you know, having some reward for ourselves, we want to have, it's like keeping the gas in the car, keeping the quality of the oil in the car good, so that when we're out at 2 o'clock in the morning opening a bakery or our family business, your car functions perfectly. And so you want your body to sort of reflect that too. It's amazing. Someone, you're going to love this, is that I watched this speaker talk about, if we, this is probably a good way to sort of come toward the end of our conclusion of our time together, is that he said, if at the beginning of our lives we were given one car, so we only had one car our whole life, so we would maybe take care of it. We had no option to get a second car. So this is the only car we're going to have, the only tires we were going to have, the only engine we were going to have, the only, interior, the only, right? We take care of it more often. And it's like, wouldn't it be great to see our bodies like that? Right? That we're like, okay, this is it. This is what I get. We can replace certain things, but we can't replace the totality. And so that's such a beautiful way to kind of come to the conclusion of realizing like how valuable you are, how important you are, how magnificent you are as a being. Like you were saying before, you don't need to earn love because you exist. It is your birthright. It is just one with all that you are. You are lovable. And it's interesting because the mug that I've been drinking out of, it just says you are loved. And it's like, it's such an important thing to say more often to other people, to say to myself, to let people hear it from a different vantage point. You are important. You are powerful. You're worth loving. You're worth healing. So it's nice. So we can talk a few more minutes, but we'll close our time in this specific way. Uncross the feet. I'll do the same. And the arms. We'll close the eyes. Take a deep breath in so we can let it out. As we close this beautiful sacred podcast time together, we say thank you. Thank you that we've been able to do this. Thank you that we've been open and receptive in our hearts and our minds to be present together. And with every single person that ever hears this on any timeline, we say thank you. And you are important and you are powerful and you are loved by life itself. We'll take one more breath as we close. Yeah. I think in my career, I've realized like I want to bring like sexy back to healing, or to it for the first time, like appeal, like fun, like lightfulness. And I think of you, actually, I was talking with a mutual friend of ours the other day about you behind your back in this loving way, about enjoying being lighthearted, being real, being present, being ourselves, and having fun more often. How do we become more playful? And thinking of singing and teaching people to get more connected to the sound that their voice can make, that their bodies can make, is so powerful. But your unique ability to uplift people and their joy, again, is just who you are, Paula.
And I can't help but thank you. It's hard just to say thank you and receive sometimes. I want to be like, here, take the muffin. I appreciate you. But I I remember asking if you would at one point like sit in on one of my classes to give some feedback and all that. But you have a resonance, and there's just something that feels like I don't know, like your engine has this divine machination behind it, where you can tell there's spiritual force behind it, or that's how I feel talking with you. I feel like we could go on, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we're together. I would feel I want to wrap up one aspect of
Sure.
some of what we were talking about with the food thing, just because I guess I have one last like question, or it's like a
Please.
little bit of a two-parter, but so we've got the prescription, which is the
Yep.
affirmation. We've
Yep.
got some food for thought for what might be running in the background. So the fulfillment one definitely struck a chord. Um, so over the next, so to I guess so it would be the two parts. So over the next few days to continue some of the affirmations. Now I'm in the moment. I imagine I'm Friday. I've put I'm taking babka out of boxes and putting them into cases. How do I deal with this
Which is like
moment?
someone's dream, someone's fantasy of like being alone with this delicious like delicacy. Okay, sorry.
But the
All
seriously, I
right.
mean, it's like, and the thing is,
No, it's real.
there's temptation. I'm
Sure.
tired. I also want the reward, but I've also been telling myself, assuming I've done my homework throughout the week, there's still temptation and habit that precedes. There's memory, physical and otherwise, of I want the cinnamon babka to just
Mm-hmm.
melt in my mouth right now. And I have the choice to take it out of the box and eat it or put it with its friends in a case to sell for the next day. How am I navigating this moment? And how do I navigate the next day? Shall I fail? Because there's the guilt happens when you fail. And
Mm.
that can be, and I know when it comes to food, we a lot of times, I'm not the only one where you're like, okay, so I dropped the ball yesterday. Assuming things didn't go well, I did the affirmations and I looked at it and I said, I love myself. Thank you for whatever the moment might be. You'll give me advice in the moment of what I should do. But something breaks, something doesn't work, and I have it anyway. So I guess I kind of want the two-parter would be how am I handling the moment where it arises? I'm taking the babka out of the box, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then should that moment not go how I would have liked it to, the next day, how am I talking to myself so that I can set myself up for potential future success?
Well, the two things I will say is we're going to perfect way to sort of round out our time together because now we're coming back to you looking at your child and being like, you don't need to earn love.
Mm,
You are loved because you exist unconditionally, baby. And so just keep like no matter what, you're perfect, whole, and complete. No matter what, you're magnificent. No matter what, all is well. No matter what, you deserve your own um, care and appreciation and recognition. So like no matter what, you're not, no matter what. And when I think of all of my influences, 12 steps has been a big influence in my life from so many different perspectives. But just learning about that, and I wish we all learned it in school because it's such great steps, but just like the 8 limb path. But they have something called the No Matter What Club. And so I love the idea of kind of like picking in some of the things we can put in our basket over here, even if it's not something we use as 12 steps, but like no matter what. So I think from here, thinking of your future self being in that moment and sending her that awareness of like I love you no matter what. It's okay. And yeah, whether you eat it or you don't, or you eat two of them or you don't. Like so that needs to be kind of the umbrella. Like you're okay no matter what. Like we're okay no matter what, right? From here, right? So it's like you're sending yourself a full tank of gas from here,
mm,
good quality oil from here, you know, good tires from here, not there, so that it's already the umbrella's already over you. And then I would also say, why do you not want to eat this food? Do you not want to eat it?
it just feels excessive. It feels excessive
So once
to,
a week, you're not letting yourself have a sweet treat.
well, I think if they were maybe reserved for that once, the problem is moments like that can arise.
Got
I
it.
mean, especially if you run a bakery.
All right. So what about cutting it in half?
Right.
What about cutting it in half and saying, like, yes, we're going to eat this. We're going to give ourselves permission to eat it. We're going to cut it in half. I'm going to share the other half with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is an option, right? Or I'm going to cut a quarter of it and eat a quarter of it and save the rest for someone else or save the rest for later. So if you maybe break it up throughout the day instead of having the whole, so like there's parts of it. Cause I think once we go, whoosh, don't
Mm-hmm.
eat it. You can't ever eat it. You can only have it once a month. Whoosh, we can work toward that. But I think it's too much of a big jump. It's like going from love to hate. It's too big of a
Mm.
jump. We have to
Yeah.
get to that middle spot. So it's like, okay, we've been doing this one behavior. How do we sort of walk toward that and then get at that sweet spot, which is balance? I think balance is cutting it in half. I think balance is cutting it in 4 quarters and sharing it with someone. I think balance is cutting it on a diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think, giving yourself more self, like I know there's a big part of our lives. It's okay. I know you like it. I care about you. I know I like it too. There's a big part of it. We don't want cavities and we don't want to have a problem with going to the bathroom. And, like these are kind of
Mm-hmm.
conversations. You're not a bad girl. I'm not a bad girl. We're not bad girls for liking it. We're normal and natural. And it's natural to like stuff like this. And also we want to care about our future self. Right. So I think I
Yeah.
want you to get into the reasons that it feels like having too much of anything is it's like when I think of women getting into this fake eyelashes or plumping their lips, and like too much of anything long term can sort of create other problems, right? Whether it's like
Mm.
not being able to see ourselves when we look in a mirror, like seeing any person without certain things, right? So there's a bigger conversation to be had here, but I
Mm.
I, I love that we're talking about this because it's so relevant for probably every single customer you've
Yeah.
ever had that's ever walked through that doors, whether they're going upstairs to participate in some community event, um, whether they're coming in for a potluck, whether they're coming in for a delicious sandwich or a bagel or a new babka or a coffee. People are coming in and then sometimes leaving feeling like, oh, I just ate. Listen, honey, I have left there and eaten my double chocolate wheat muffin. And I'm like, 5 minutes, Elizabeth, you ate the whole thing in five. And then I go, I have to move on with my day because if not, I will get so caught up and berate myself. And I don't like the way that feels. And I don't, when I start doing that, I become mean to other people and I'm like a monster. I'm like, I ate a muffin. I'm so mad at myself. I'm going to be mean to you. And it's like,
And would
so
we
I
do
go,
that? And
okay.
would we do that to our kids, right? Or like, would I?
A lot
If
of parents do. A lot of parents do.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of parents do. So the answer is yes. And
Mhm.
what I've come to learn about you as a parent is that you are a lot more conscious and mindful of how you deal and handle, and a lot more willing to educate yourself on like progressive ways of doing it, and even like past progressive ways. Because I feel like, but we're talking about parenting you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so that's why I just tell the girl, it's okay. I like it. I like it too. And I think too much of anything, we just need to be careful of it. That's all. I love you so much. We're going
Mm.
to eat them whenever we want them, but we're going to be mindful. That's what you would tell your son.
Yes.
You would verbatim.
100%.
You'd be like, I love you so much. This is so good. We all love it. We're not going to eat too much because we're going to have a bellyache, then we're going to get a headache, and we're going to be able to poop or whatever it is. Right. So I'm proud of you that we're having this conversation because it's very relevant in the whole dynamic of what you've offered our
Mm.
community, here in Rhode Island,
It's funny because
Southern Rhode Island.
I sometimes feel I'm like, okay, am I playing like the the angel and the devil? I'm like, you have this like wellness or like mindfulness space
Mm-hmm.
above, and then downstairs you're like, come eat sugar and like coffee. But life is in balance, and there's nothing more. Part of why I opened a shop was there's a lot of work that's very intellectual, but some of it doesn't feel very real. And to me,
Sure.
it's like so these two things are so ancient. Like humans have always fed each other, and there's usually been some exchange. It usually is money, but we come together for food. That is as real as it gets. And then we've also always come together in community, whether it's for music or movement. Cultures dance together. So we these are all real things that as human beings we're going to do regardless. So
Sure.
um so thank you for the time today. I hope maybe we can like figure out some regular way because I think
I love it.
this would be so great too, even if it's an affirmation playlist, we can dream it.
Sure.
But I do want
I
you to
love
take
it.
a moment to plug your upcoming the retreat that you do in the
That's so
Bahamas.
funny. It's so funny. Like I forget about stuff like that. That part of it, I get so
I'm like,
wrapped
she's
up.
gonna leave and not talk about
Well,
this awesome
yes.
thing
So,
happening.
well, I think I have always been a little askew in the world. And when it comes to promoting or marketing the work that I do, I struggle sometimes with getting out of the idea that the spirituality will promote it and it's just going to go out into the world. And I love that because I do believe in that. But there's also this other fantastic way of doing it too, which is human to human or through social media. And so that's me being vulnerable about being like just the promotion of like anything. But once a year, I offer a retreat in the Bahamas. It has just continued to enrich my life and the lives of the people from the island and every single person that's been able to come and enjoy that. It is a 6-day retreat. We take care of all the details. It's an all-inclusive retreat. That's in April 16th through the 21st. We have a private chef and a massage therapist. It is a retreat that has yoga. It is not a yoga retreat. The retreat is called the Love Healing Spiritual Retreat. And in the meantime, as we head up toward that, I have some local workshops and events, but my name is Elizabeth Cornetta. The work that I do is love, healing, and growth. I am excited to continue to work with you and your expanding project. And we put the highest possible blessings on that. And then I look forward to you and I being able to figure out what works going forward about this, because this is nice. I could be in any country and I will be in another country, but I like the idea of being able to be here with you and continue to share this in a way that makes sense for people.
And what is a good way people want to find out details about the retreat? You do have elizabethcornetta.com.
Yes, that is true.
So Elizabeth is spelled as you would expect. Cornetta is
Yep.
CORNETTA.com.
Yep.
In the description of this video, I will put your website.
Thank you.
But can they also... It looks like there's a tab, Love Healing Spiritual Retreats. I am seeing April 16th to 21st, 2026. So if folks, are they able to book directly on your site? It looks like
you can. Yep. Right now we have a Valentine's Day sale that goes on from February 1st to, I believe, the 15th. And so that would be something you contact us directly. So through the website, there's an email, you can get through the email. We have Facebook, we have Love and Healing, and or my first and last name, and then Love Healing for Instagram too. So
perfect.
It's all there. I look forward to the growth of all the work that I'm doing when it comes to my little askew relationship with the World Wide Web. I'm like, oh, the birds and the squirrels. Like, okay.
And we didn't go too much into your, the background as far as some of like the formal programs education and things, but you can learn more about Elizabeth there. Maybe we will have more information, but quite a bit has been written about her. She was in Leading Ladies recently, and she's just a force to be reckoned with. Or I guess I should say through people's own self-love, you become your own force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. It's like teaching someone to fish, right? We want to give everyone the tools to do their thing and to continue to appreciate one another, because we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And this is, without you, I couldn't do it, without one another. So I love that strength. There's strength in that. So let's talk soon. You let me know. We'll see how the next couple months go, but I would love to do this again with you.
Amazing. Now, I missed a huge opportunity right in the beginning to ask you how you are, because it's, to me, like when I think of you, it's like your tagline. So I'm actually going to close by asking, how are you? And you're going to give it to me. So Elizabeth Cornetta,
how? This is like something that's grown over the years, and I love it because now how am I doing? I'm doing the best that I can with the knowledge and understanding that I have at this time.
Thank you.
That's Louise. Hey, like, I gotta give her the credit. That is from her.
And say it one more time for us.
I am doing the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can, Miss Paula, with the knowledge and the understanding that I have at this time. Because the power is always in the present moment. So I am doing the best I can with the knowledge and understanding I have at this time. Mwah!
Elizabeth Cornetta, thank you so much for your time today.
Bye.
Bye now.